This proves that he is absolutely built different. Luis Arraez on his way to being the best hitter in franchise history. We got to talk about what that means and what he is going to be worth or could potentially cost in free agency. What's going on, everybody? Christian Pedersen back with another episode of Padres Digest. Thank you very much for tuning into the show where I, a random dude on the internet, whine, opine, over and underreact about all things Padres. If you could hit the subscribe button, it would be much appreciated. If not, no worries. Let's talk some baseball. Luis Arraez. Let's just cut straight to the numbers. Him and Tony Gwyn. You know what? I'll even take this full screen so that you can fully appreciate and understand what we are talking about here. This is a comparison that some of you are going to say that this is blaspheming against Mr. Padre, so let me maybe put this in context. I am not saying that Luis Arraez is going to, in the end of his career, be the overall, best ever Padre, Mr. Padre, best hitter. I'm saying, though, that if you look at these numbers right here, 2,144 at-bats, maybe a couple more by the time you watch this. The only real difference between the two is the stolen bases. Tony had a little bit more speed out the gate in his career. Luis Arraez, not necessarily known for swiping backs. What am I saying, though, when I say that he has a chance to go on to be the best? These numbers are comparable. These numbers are identical. The context of these numbers, though, is greatly different. And there's the here and the now of Luis Arraez is 28. He is headed into free agency. He is somebody who I personally have always valued highly because I think that his contribution of getting on base, moving the game forward, moving the ball forward, even if it's not entirely, home runs, just, I mean, even if it's the outs that he is generating are not strikeouts. He's just putting the ball, his last 100-plus plate appearances, no strikeouts. That means sac flies or moving the runner over on a ground ball or just more. A strikeout is an absolute zero. No product, nothing good comes from a strikeout for the offense. If you put a ball positively in play, something in aggregate, of over those 100 plate appearances, I didn't do a deep enough dive to be like, he had 12 flyouts, 3 ground outs, a pop and a line out. But I bet if you look over those 100 plate appearances, of the X number of outs that he did generate, there was probably a couple that were RBIs or moved runners over that led to RBIs or kept innings going to get to another batter that just, you get where I'm going with this. He is a person who produces positive offense. He is one of a couple of guys, like I mentioned, that are headed into free agency for his age 28 season. This is the contract right now. Padres avoided arbitration. They are paying him $14 million this year, and then next year is going to be an unrestricted free agent. The Padres have Michael King, Dylan Cease. You can say that we kind of avoided it with King because of a year thing, but realistically, those two are both free agents, and Arraez is a free agent in terms of our top tier talent. Like I said at the start of this, am a big Luis Arraez guy, but was shocked internally to find at the Padres Digest group chat that there were several people who classified Luis Arraez as extremely, if not one of the most overrated baseball players in the game. So I guess question for me, number one, is drop in the comments, and do you even think he's worth re-signing? Does he add something to it? I say, obviously, yes, he is worth re-signing. Now, maybe he's not 25, 35, 45. He might not be a $700 million player, 30, 40 million a row, but he's 29. He's going into what arguably, for a guy who's going to play first base, DH kind of vibes, between 29 and 34 is still a peak athleticism ability to hit part of his career. And past that, 34 and on, if he's a guy who does not rely on having to really muscle it out, I don't see why he can't age gracefully, hitting still 270, 280 late into his 30s. So for me, 5 to 7 years, 15 to 20 million. I don't see why that's bad. Especially, and we got other videos on the pitching half of this. I don't trust Michael King to be coming back entirely healthy this season, let alone and maybe this is a complete non sequitur, but San Diego did once whiff on a shoulder injury in Drew Brees for a guy that went on to then be a Hall of Famer. So maybe Michael King on a shoulder nerve, whatever you want to diagnose it as, could still go on to have a Hall of Fame career. But between him and Cease, we're probably only going to re-sign one of them anyway. But if now it's one of them's a little injured and one of them wants $30 million and we end up losing out on both of them, I absolutely think it's a no-brainer then to re-sign Cease. Maybe you guys disagree. Where I'm saying, though, that he is built different and could end up being the best hitter in franchise history is you look at these numbers, again, between Tony and Luis. Tony Gwyn did these numbers with sparing help. There was the stint with the 84 team and in the mid 80s where he was like, okay, he had, Dave Winfield and some other guys, some other dudes. He was a young Tony Gwyn at that point. And then in the 98 squad, in 96 and 98, he had a pretty decent group of dudes around him as well with Caminetti, Wally Joyner, Greg Vaughn. But largely, Tony Gwyn was doing this as the primary offensive weapon on the team. Tony Gwyn was doing this as the guy who you didn't worry about anybody. It's like, Phil Nevin or Ryan Klesko was behind him or Brett, but it's whatever, man. There was not necessarily a ton of weapons that you had to worry about giving him hittable pitches or having to go after him because of X, Y, or Z after him. If Arraez is sandwiched in there with Merrill and Tatis and Machado, and I know that some of you are Xander haters, but Xander's starting to hit better, and with all of that, you can't really pitch around Luis Arraez. So that's where I think that he could potentially, by the time that it's all said and done, be a better hitter in a 1 or 2 season sort of sample size than Tony ever was in a 1 or 2 season sort of sample size. Maybe it's even for say we signed him for 5. Maybe it's in a 3, 4, 5. I think that just the questions that I have are I have more questions now based off of my group chat hitting me back with him being overrated. I thought he was an absolute lock. Like I said, I thought he was this. I was 10 toes down that Arraez, you want him because the last time we had a true franchise great, it was a contact singles hitter that kept the game going, kept getting on base, just compiled hit after hit after hit after hit. And why would you not want that? I grew up wanting that. I grew up idolizing that as a Padres fan. So I guess I'm curious for you guys. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think Arraez's total value is. Let me know if you even want him re-signed. Or if you think, hey, adios. We don't need singles. This is a game of home runs and slugging percentage and all of that. So I think, though, it says that he's built different. Let me know what you think. And if you could hit the subscribe button, it would be much appreciated. Until next time, Padres fans, keep the faith. 2025 is going to keep on getting better and better.